Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and today I wanted to sit down and talk about Tom Clancy's The Division. Wanted to give you guys a little bit of knowledge boost on it, let you know what the game is actually all about, so you can figure out whether or not you should be excited for it in 2016. On top of that, The Division is easily my most anticipated game of the first quarter of 2016. And even though I can't talk about my time with it because NDA, after playing the alpha on the Xbox One, all of my hopes and dreams for The Division were just kind of, they're fluffed up a little bit. They were, I'm pretty stoked about the game. Again, I can't talk about the NDA, but I could just say that I'm pretty stoked about the game. So, of course, I want to take the time to tell you guys what The Division is all about. We can talk about what we currently know about the game, what has already been spoken about, and help you better understand what exactly The Division is. Now, cool thing is they are actually going to be running a beta, hopefully sometime in January. Right now, early 2016 is all they're saying for the beta, but considering the game is coming out in March, I'm hoping the beta will happen in sometime in January or at least early February. It does seem that they are doing pre-order access for the beta, but you can also go over to the website and sign up for a chance to get your very own beta key. I imagine that if they do, and when they do run a beta towards the end of the beta's life cycle, they'll probably start to open it up for even more people and send out more keys. So just go sign up now while you still can, and secure yourself access to the beta, or at least hopefully secure yourself access to the beta when it does decide to drop in 2016. So, Tom Clancy's The Division, the first brand new sort of universe under the Tom Clancy name in a very long time. This isn't another Rainbow Six, this isn't another Ghost Recon, this is The Division. It's a brand new thing using the Tom Clancy name. It is going to be coming out on both the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and as well as the PC after a lot of awesome petitioning from the PC community. Originally, when the game was announced, it was only going to be on the console, but the PC community was like, hey, we really want that. We really, really want that. So they're making it happen on PC. That is awesome. The more platforms, the better. It's a third-person tactical shooter that has both PvE as well as PvP components. It is open world. It is going to have a story to it, so there's going to be some story-driven elements. And it also has a lot of RPG elements, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Now, in terms of the story, we know very little right now. They're keeping a lot of things under wraps. Basically, all I can tell you is that you play a sleeper agent for an organization called The Division that has been sent into a now catastrophic New York City in the middle of winter. You don't really know what happened. I mean, we don't know why we're there, at least not yet. You just know things have gone awry. The world is hell. There are gangs and factions running all over New York City. There are sick people everywhere still living in New York City. The only thing we really know is that you've been sent there to maybe make things better. That's it. We don't know if you actually work for the government. We don't know anything else right now. The story is going to have to tell us all of that when we actually play the game come release day. Now, as I said, it is a PvE and PvP focused game. Outside of the game's PvP, which is actually done in a completely different zone, the entire game is just cooperative. You can play it alone, you can play it with 2 people, 3 people, or 4 people in a group. You can play through the story and any side quest or whatever else they decide to do in the open world. It's co-op. And that's awesome because I love co-op games, and I think it's really cool to see a lot of Tom Clancy games being announced that have a big focus on co-op. The Division as well as Ghost Recon Wildlands being 2 of the biggest ones. To me, that just makes everything better. Playing games with friends is always better. And this is where we start to get into the character creation system. They have actually announced we're allowed to have up to 4 characters, so there's going to be 4 separate character slots. And if we look at the way you can actually build a character in some of these early gameplay trailers, there's a lot going on. You have a set of talents, skills, and perks that really help you define who and what your character is and what they're good at, which means you can build a character that is all about doing what you want to do. But at the same time, you can look to your friends and you can say, hey, well, if you're going to do that, I'm going to do this, and we'll be like peanut butter and jelly, and everything will be great, and we'll kill all the bad guys, and we'll save the world. Or something along those lines. I very much think peanut butter and jelly could save the world. Just think about it. It's a wonderful thing. No, but really, they're doing they're putting a pretty big emphasis on those RPG elements, those perks, and just making sure that you really can make your character your character. You want to be that sniper, you want to be the medic guy, you want to be the support dude who's always ready to help the team get out of a sticky situation. You can do that. The Division is going to give you the tools to do that, and at the same time, you're going to be allowed to have 4 different characters. So if you're someone who plays the game obsessively and very heavily, you can have 4 characters that can do 4 different things, that are built for 4 different reasons, or maybe they're just at 4 different levels, so you can play with any one of your friends who is maybe more or less active in the game. Now, we don't know, outside of it being an open world, like I said, we know very little about the story. We don't really know how the structure of the open world works. It does seem like they're going for a seamless New York City, but I imagine there will be instanced areas on the map. It would just make sense for, any open world to have some things be instanced, especially when we look at the gameplay. There's a lot of detail going on in the environments, a lot of trash and rubbish. The Snowdrop engine was actually built specifically for the Division by Ubisoft. There's a lot of development studios actually working on this. I've actually got a full list of all of the studios that are, currently said to be working on the Division. If I take a look here, it's a insane number. All right, so we've got Ubisoft Massive, which is supposed to be the main team. Red Storm Entertainment. Anytime there's anything Tom Clancy, Red Storm has a hand in it. Awesome. Actually, a studio that was created with the help of Tom Clancy himself. May he rest in peace. Ubisoft Reflections, as well as Ubisoft Annecy. So a lot of studios working on this game. They have a pretty big team pushing for this. They built, like I said, a brand new engine just for the game, so they could do dynamic weather and cold weather and ice effects and all of this stuff. And even though the game has obviously gotten a visual downgrade since we originally saw it back at E3 for the first time, it still looks wonderful in my opinion. If you have a high-end rig, I'm sure it's going to look great on your PC. But, obviously when we start talking console, they're going to downscale things. Consoles just don't have the same memory or hardware that some of those crazy high-end PCs have, so that's just the way it's going to be. Now, as I said, it's a third-person shooter. I mean, that's it, This isn't a game about using melee weapons. It's not a game about being passive. It is still a third-person shooter at heart. We see that from all the gameplay. It does have a cover system. It's about tactics. It's about coordinating either alone as an individual against the AI threat in the single-player environments, or cooperatively in the PvE environments with a group of friends. And there is a level system, it seems. So you can imagine that different zones in New York City are going to require a different minimum level to actually go in and be successful in them. I'm hoping they don't do any sort of restrictions. I can't imagine that would be their plan. It's really going to be up to the player. If you see a zone that says level 20 and you're level 15, enter at your own risk. From what we've seen in terms of enemy engagements, engagements with the AI and the footage that we've seen, they are, very much RPG oriented, kind of the way that Destiny does things. So different enemies have a different level that makes them a lower or higher threat to you. They're also legendary type enemies that are more challenging. They may drop better loot. Obviously, loot is a big part of this game. Not only can you find it in the open world, but enemies will drop it. Weapons, gear, equipment, attachments. There's a full, heavy weapon modification system. There's going to be a lot of loot. There's going to be a lot of reasons to explore the open world. They're definitely going to be, caches all over the world. They're really looking to make sure that players have a reason to hunt down that next great piece of gear that's going to eventually help them get into that next zone, and then, sort of rinse and repeat. Now, in terms of the overall replayability of the open world and the story, we really don't know where they're going with it. We haven't heard anything on a level cap yet. We don't know how long it's going to take to complete the main story. We don't know how much they're doing in terms of side quests. That's really going to be up to them. I can't imagine, them taking the time to create this big open world that also, as I said, has a PvP zone that we're going to talk about in a little bit, and have it be a game that's a one and done. I, can see them really wanting to make sure that players have a reason to come back, make this a game like Destiny, where people are looking to actively play it for months on end, and hopefully, with the addition of DLC down the road, continue to grow the world and the story and the universe that is the Division. That would be really exciting. That's something I would love to see happen. Let's talk a little bit about PvP. PvP in the Division takes place in what is known as the Dark Zone. It is a heavily quarantined area of New York City. You enter it like an instance, and once inside, you'll not only encounter the same AI enemies you saw outside of the Dark Zone, you'll also have to deal with other players. Now, you can cooperate with the other players, or you can turn against them. However, you have to remember you're all still agents in a thing called the Division that we know nothing about. Turning on another member of the Division will give you rogue status. The more people you kill, the higher your rogue status becomes, making you a more valuable target for those people who haven't become dirty, greedy backstabbers. In which case you'll probably be hunted down and killed. That system in itself gives me a lot of hope for the PvP component inside of the Dark Zone. Not to mention, you still have PvE enemies you have to deal with. There's a lot of reason there to cooperate rather than to just wreak havoc. Now, the main reason to go inside of the Dark Zone is to hunt down caches as well as AI enemy targets, legendary, and so on and so forth, to get special gear that is contaminated that then needs to be extracted via helicopter. In doing this, you're also attracting the attention of other players who can show up. They can help you extract their gear as well, or they can shoot you in the face and take your gear and extract their gear and your gear and say good day. Really interested to see how the Dark Zone pans out. I think it has a lot of potential to be a really cool area of the map that gives players a chance to break from the monotony of just killing AI, to turn against one another, to have fun, or at the same time to form bonds. I think there is no denying that in PvP type experiences like, you know, DayZ and so on and so forth, there are great things that happen, but sometimes it's just a little bit too free reign. If they can find that right balance in the Dark Zone and give players a real reason to work with one another, perhaps even against other player factions, but to do that more often than to just go free for all, you know, to give people a reason to team up more often than to just turn against one another, the Dark Zone could be a cool place. I have high hopes for it, but at the end of the day, I think it's something that's going to be controlled by the community. It's how the players decide to play the Dark Zone. You know, I think Ubisoft can really just influence us. They can give us small things, but at the end of the day, it's going to be up to the players to really see what the Dark Zone ends up being. My fingers are crossed for it. I would really like to have both an exciting PvE cooperative component as well as a PvP component. I think the two of those melded into one awesome open world, that just sounds really freaking fantastic, and I am excited to get my hands on the Division. As I said, guys, they're going to be doing a beta in early 2016, and we have no set date yet. Sadly, much like the alpha, it does seem they're aiming to put this under an NDA, so I won't be able to talk about it. I actually reached out to Ubisoft during my time with the alpha and was hoping I could get some sort of an exclusive setup with them where I could talk about the alpha. I had a lot I wanted to say about it because it excited me. It really excited me. I wouldn't be making this video if I didn't think they were doing things right with the Division. So keep an eye on it. If you like third-person tactical shooters, remember that this is still very much that in an open world setting. The game is still very serious. It is going to require, you know, it's going to require a bit of patience. It's not, you know, run and gun, fast-paced Call of Duty. It is a more slow, methodical, tactical game with a lot of RPG infusion in it, and I totally dig the idea of that. I really dig the idea of that, and I hope the Division ends up being something truly special that a lot of us are sitting down and playing in 2016, co-op, single player, or otherwise. If you have any other questions for me regarding the Division, I will answer the ones that I can. Anything that I participated, you know, that was under NDA, I just can't talk about, guys. Sorry. Leave it down in the comment section below, though. And keep an eye on the Division, guys. Honestly, if you have an opportunity to play the beta in early 2016, do it. Check it out for yourself. I think you will be pleasantly surprised. That's going to do it for this. I will see you in the next one.